So executed according to the law 6607, and it was stipulated on April 4th, 2018, and it was effective. It was enforced on April 9th of the following year. On April 9th. So it included frameworks, and so they identified several evidence, and it was registered at 9 a.m. and it was then the last one was in March. So according to our expertise, the registrations were on the platforms and it was on they were registered throughout March, and so even though the report said that the defendant's line was prosecuted previously, it was wrong because and Oscar Álvarez Muñoz highlighted that the guidelines for the vigilance was led by the magistrate in charge of the case, and he explained that before initiating his labor, he proceeded with the forms and as well as the affidavits for the statement. So the results were on the phone and on written reports. And in relation to the intersection of line 317-3505, the analysis recalled that the labor of work contained in March that same year, it was established as a vigilant objective. However, during the labor of its development, this didn't belong to the defendant but to the political leader Álvaro Uribe, who is easy to identify. According to his testimony before this, he contacted the auxiliary magistrate Ivan Cortés, who was registered on 26.f. Well, it was a verbal register. According to that communication, then there was a meeting with him and the investigator leader, Susana, and so it was stipulated to cancel the investigation, and then it was written the report and the materialization of the stopping the intersections. So, in particular, this there have been observed two registrations associated with Oscar authorizing its exit between 8 and 11 p.m. and then the other one was unauthorized exit around 8 and 9:30. In that context, the analyst just wrote the preliminary report on March 28, 2018, in which he confirmed that the line didn't belong to the suspect, and this was just accompanied by the recordings, and in that order, the recounter of the acting was summed up as the following. On Wednesday, March 7th, they ordered the interception of the phone line, and so it was wrongly associated with someone else, but actually it belonged to Uribe, and so then it was made concrete the arrest warrant the other search, sorry, and so they have just interfered several calls, and there was a meeting between Oscar and Ivan Cortés and the researcher Clara Azucena Suarez, and on Wednesday, March, it was an impartial report. On Monday, April 12, reception of by the auxiliary magistrate. On Wednesday, April 14 through it was ordered the cancellation of interception, and on April 2018 it was effective the cancellation of the phone line. First of all, the re-encounter was useful to reaffirm that these interceptions weren't for a month, for a whole month. They didn't started in March and concluded in April, but then they just were completed on March 27th, just a day previous the writing of the report. As the materials and evidence confirmed, these investigations were from March 12. Once presented the report, we just identified the identification of Álvaro Uribe as owner of the line phone, and so right now, as the labor of the time that had been spent loses relevance, so as the measure was already suspended before formalizing it, and even we cannot stop mentioning, even though the defense objects that they explain that its presentation before the tribunal will be carried out in following April to adopt the decision, to make the decision. The investigator presented the report explaining that they were waiting for orders to process the interception, which just delays among a week. So this is not duly founded, as with the presence of the Supreme Court of Justice and its research officials, and so this will allow to clarify in a trustworthy way the reasons why the orders of intersections have been delayed, and so within this analyzed period, besides taking into account the labor tasks that have been attending other matters, so the file related to the investigation on Oscar Álvarez, and they were referred to the monitoring, interception, and analysis of communications within the framework of police officer, a judicial police. And so the protocol of intercepting communications and the instructions about these regulatory regulations establishes the mandates of the judicial police regarding communications, and so the activities designated to the officials are described, and the monitoring and listening have been actively so to report the failures of the systems and and reports incidents and to write partial reports guaranteeing the legality of the material collected. All these aspects were clarified during the questioning, and so he explained the fastness in which he told the facts, and so this dispatch could confirm that the interception could be prolonged for a longer period if the researcher wouldn't act properly. So it is convenient to mention that the suspects said that it wasn't a voluntary mistake, an involuntary mistake.
We were listening to statements from the judge Susana Heredia, who is reading the final verdict on the Uribe trial that is about to have its final decision and to rule if he's guilty or not guilty for the crimes of robbery and witness tampering. So we're going to stay tuned on what is happening right now in Colombia as the judge continues to offer statements. We will know the final verdict on this important trial, a trial that could see Uribe sentenced to 6 to 12 years in prison, a trial that began all the way back to 2012 and has been going on for the last 13 years. And today we are supposed to know the final verdict on this trial, if on the guiltiness or not of former President Álvaro Uribe, who will be the first former president to be convicted, if convicted, of a crime in Colombia.